also so glad to have Professor Patricia joining us from Zimbabwe. Well, when I was actually looking and how I actually met most of the speakers that you have is through networks. Your network is your net worth. And when I first spoke to Patricia, I remember she was excited, unlike most of the other people. And I'm telling you this because everybody sees themselves differently. Now listen to this. Now I was introducing myself to Professor Patience, and she said to me, I don't know if I have an interesting story to tell, but I'm not going to say much about the professor. I just want you to listen. And I want you to tell her in the chat whether she's got anything inspiring. Professor works in the field, in the wildlife environment. So she's in a totally different environment. She works with elephants, lions, you know, those scary animals, the big five, they call them. That's where she works. That's what she's passionate about. I don't know if you are passionate about those things, those animals. But for me, I've been to the game parks so many times. If there's one animal that I know we need to learn from, it's a lion. And I'm telling you, watch this space about the lion. Professor Patience, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to have you. And thank you so much for accepting first to be featured, even though you totally, you totally said you don't know if you have anything inspiring to share about. But when I looked at your profile, I was just wondering why you said that. But well, let me not be the judge for the others. I would love you to share something, and maybe it will inspire others, or maybe it will not. They are the ones who will tell us whether you've got something to inspire others. At the age of 17, you went to work with animals. At 17, that's still a teenager. How does a young girl, and if I look at your background, you had never been into any game park. So at the age of 17, how do you decide you're going to work with, they said, the most dangerous animals? You have the courage, you're a young girl, you've never been into the park. What really drove you to go into the wildlife sector? Welcome, Professor. I think we can be able to spotlight her.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I realized that nature conservation is a passion. It's not about just a career, but I love nature. And from a tender age, when I was in high school, I always wanted to get involved in environment clubs and fascinated by wildlife. In the beginning, I thought I'm fascinated by wildlife just because I didn't have much exposure to it growing up. Well, of course, my family would not afford to take me for holiday in those big national parks. And so I just imagined myself living and working in an environment that other people fly for miles to come and appreciate. So it became a dream come true for me to be able to work and live with wildlife. I really, I couldn't even imagine myself doing anything else. And as I grew to appreciate even my field and with more exposure, I realized that this mission that I'm on is not just about me and our generation, but it's actually an investment into the future so that our children and our children's children can be able to actually enjoy the wildlife and plant life that is out there. We actually have a duty and a responsibility to pass it on. So I started to see myself more as a steward, something that I'm supposed to do, even if it wasn't my job. Therefore, it's actually a quite a great privilege to be able to live my dream and earn a living from the job that I see myself more of a steward. And there's nothing that is more fulfilling for me just to be able to even also contribute to the body of knowledge about wildlife, and being able to write and publish. I feel like I'm living a piece of my mind, and I'm living a heritage for the future. There will never be a time when knowledge generated becomes irrelevant. It will always be key reference materials. So I have a very personal sense of fulfillment from what I do, and the joy that comes to my heart when I see my next paper published. And more importantly, when I started to see how useful knowledge and data is when it comes to regional and global conservation discourse. And as a scientist, I realized that I must write. I can't be a scientist who cannot write. I must write to share knowledge, because knowledge that is not shared is as good as nothing. But knowledge that is shared, you, as a person, you don't lose your knowledge from sharing it. It's like lighting other candles. Mm-hmm. The candle that lights up other candles doesn't get dim from lighting other candles. So that, to me, it's more of a personal choice and living my dream.
That is so inspiring. And I'm just saying to myself, imagine you've never been into the wildlife. At 17, you start working with these animals who are supposed to be dangerous. You are a woman. Where do you get such courage to go step forward and be working with these wild animals? Aren't you afraid to start with?
Yes, I realized that this field is mostly male dominated, and realizing that there's an opportunity and a niche also for women, particularly people of my color, to be able to seize the opportunities in the wildlife conservation sector and make a difference, just the same as the male counterparts. It would give hope and also a realization, proof that there are young women scientists out there that can also break the glass ceiling and make a difference, of conservation that is led by women, and conservation that is got a touch of love and compassion. And I think I've grown to also appreciate and realize that I think the woman's heart is what is needed to save nature. A woman's mindset is what is necessary to reverse species loss, and the connection that we have as women to life is so strong and real, and the desire for our children's children to appreciate the wildlife heritage it's real, and it's quite burning inside me. Therefore, it is really quite an honor, and I feel I have been able to to prove to other young women who might also want to reach for their dreams. It doesn't matter in which field that they are, if you've got determination and the willpower to achieve, nothing can stop you. You just have to go for it and be the best that you have to be. There are no limitations for women in any sector, and including the wildlife sector.
Wow, that is so interesting, so interesting. In fact, my last secret word is what you've said, maybe. You talked about opportunity. So that's the last secret word. There is opportunity for the women in the wildlife. The thing is, if we stop limiting ourselves, then you will be able to see the opportunity. And I think that is one of the things that you have mentioned. And I guess that is what gave you the opportunity to grow yourself to a level where you have mastered what you do and you've been able to even publish 57 peer-reviewed scientific papers. I'm reading this in connection to what you said, that knowledge that is not shared is useless. It is so great to know that not only did you master something that you longed to do, you're also sharing with others so that they stop feeling that fear. Because a lot of time we are held back by just fear. And what we don't realize that beyond that fear, what will you find? And maybe that is what you discovered beyond. And you are able to share so that we can see through your lens. We don't need to be afraid. You are not only a doctor, you are a professor. You are writing, you are sharing, you are telling us, stop being afraid, stop being in your own head, get out there. There is opportunity. Go out there, break the glass ceiling that you've set for yourself. I want to ask you, now that you work in an industry that most people would say, I can't go there. How did the family, maybe your parents, maybe your spouse, your children, how do they feel about you being in such a field?
Well, it's an interesting story because, well, particularly my mom, she kind of was, yeah, she was kind of surprised where I got the inspiration to choose a career in wildlife conservation, because there was nobody in our family that had that background. And because I had studied sciences, she thought I would choose other generic, prestigious in quotes, courses, and even in the health sciences, etc. But I was very honest and frank now with my mom, particularly my mom and even my uncles, that I just don't see myself working in that environment. I'm an adventurous person. I love nature, and I think I can make a contribution in the field of environmental science. And I received the support that I needed, even without having any prototype or any example which is closest. There was faith and respect for and support for the decision and the choices that I made. And I never look back. My mom has always been my number one cheerleader. And I then later met the right guy who is really a hero for me, because he doesn't put any limitations for my career development, and he actually pushes me to go beyond even the horizons that I can see with my own eyes. My husband Edson. So I feel I have the support from all facets, and my siblings as well. They are very, very, yeah, they're very supportive, and they appreciate the kind of work I do, to an extent that I have actually inspired other extended family members to pursue some careers in conservation.
Yeah.
I've got now that kind of inspired by my path, and yes, got interested in this, and I'm happy for them, and I'm happy that my family believed in me and supported me, and they continue to, tell me to spread my wings and fly.
That is so interesting, inspiring. It is interesting, and I'm wondering, am I the only one who is inspired? Because as we speak, you are the Director, International Conservation Affairs and Executive Technical Advisor in the Director General's office at ZimParks Head Office. That is, I think, is it in Harare? Yes,
Yes,
in Harare. And you are
it's
the
in
only
Harare.
Yeah, and you are the only female director with ZimParks. It is not just a walk in the park, but I'm so inspired. I'm so challenged, and I want to challenge someone who is sitting there and saying, I can't. Because your story reminds us you don't have to see any example around you for you to step out of your comfort zone. There was no one around you to show you that it could work. And yet you stepped forward and said, I will go make it happen so that I will allow others to see from my story that it is possible. The mark of a leadership is creating a way where there seems to be no way. And that is exactly what you did. And that is why you are an inspiration to others who might be wondering, can I actually go and work with the animals? They can see that you're there and you are actually working with the animals. And I believe that your experience working with the animals and sharing what you've been through will inspire somebody. I don't know about the others, but I can read what Anastasia says. Professor Patience, thank you for sharing your story. Very interesting and very inspiring. Let me read what others have said. I know you didn't imagine that your story could actually inspire somebody, but that is very inspiring. Somebody says, bravo, Professor, have a mentor who can push you. So it means that what you have done, you have set the road for others to follow, and you're saying that it is possible. By your action and what you did, you are able to tell others it can be done. Leaders do that. They lead the way for others to follow. And I am so inspired. I know you didn't think that your story was inspirational. It was very inspiring. It was something that would challenge somebody who's not thinking, and somebody who's thinking, this is an industry that is not known. What will somebody be doing in such a place? But when I read your profile, I noticed a lot of things. You've got awards from all around the world. You've even been recognized. You've even been able to participate and bring change to the people who are living around the animals. That is very inspiring, because when people think there's no way, and then you go out there and make them see there is a way and make it happen, that transformation is huge. You cannot take it for granted, but I think, like Dr. Susan was saying, we are just modest. We don't see like we've done something big. Why? It's because we are socialized to just be modest. We are also socialized not really to notice those things that we say they are small in quotes, because they're so huge and they make a lot of transformation. Again, you said like being a woman, you have got that maybe nature feeling of conserving. You just assume that everyone else has. They don't have, but you have shown that it can be done. I want to hear questions. I want to read questions before I ask her to give us parting shots and to give us maybe some tips we need, or maybe mistakes that maybe she learned along the way. and her contact, because I guess today we've made a connection. If it was not for her, she's from Harare, we'd not have known her. Now we know her. We have read her story. Now when we go to our social media, maybe we'll be able to find her. We'll see what she has done. We'll see why it is important sometimes to say what we are doing, because that's how people will find you. Any questions for Professor? Any questions for Professor? Any questions for Professor? Any other comments? Any thanks for Professor? We are so grateful for having Professor to come and share with us, for inspiring us so that we can know that it doesn't matter what age. Once we have our set goal, once we know what we want to achieve in life, we can start on that journey. Thank you, Professor. I would ask you to tell us, what would you tell your younger self if you're 20 years?
Well, I would tell the younger patients that there is no formula which is rigid to reach for your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And procrastination should never be given away when you have to make a decision about the important things in your life. Just follow your dreams and believe in your potential, and be the change or be the example you want to see out there, and move forward without fear of failure, because sometimes fearing to fail often can result in actual failure, but accepting the failure is part of learning, because those that don't try to do anything never fail at anything. Therefore, life is never going to be a smooth sailing. Yeah, dear younger patients, you're going to meet obstacles, discouragement, and name calling sometimes, because you are a woman. But do not let that take you back. Just to believe in your potential, and whatever you do, your best shot. Never procrastinate to do what you have to do for your career, because you have no idea how long your life is going to be. Just whatever you do it the best.
So you follow your potential, don't be afraid of failure, and do your best. And I think there's something else you also said, if you see the opportunity, you'll be able to break the glass ceiling. I'm so glad that you mentioned some of these things, because sometimes, and especially when we are procrastinating, we just say, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, until the opportunity disappears. Then we keep wondering, why are we stuck in the same place? Why are we not moving? Why are we in that log? Why is there a ceiling? Yet we've set it for our own self. What do we want to achieve? What is our desire? Where do we want to move to? Because once we are clear, once we are ready, and we've seen from all the speakers that have spoken today that breaking your own glass ceiling, if I will take the words from the previous speaker, requires you to save yourself. Nobody is going to save you, yourself. And sometimes by saving yourself, you are able to save other people. And you never know until you take that bold step to save yourself. I'm so glad that you have been able to make it to come share with us. Tell us as it is. We are hearing it from you. We're not being told, it's not a story. We are being told by you. You did it. And you managed to break your own glass ceiling. In fact, you reminded me of my book. And I think there's somewhere where I saw in your profile, talked about that again. Glass ceiling? Yeah, this is so interesting. That's the book I wrote. And one of the reasons why I wrote this book, I published in 2016, was because my greatest fear was just being in front of people, my greatest fear. And because I'm shy, I'm an introvert, my greatest fear. And that is what was keeping me where I was just to be able to open my mouth and stand in front of people and to speak. And yet, that is what was meant to set me free, to break my limitations, which is what sometimes we forget. That your greatest fear holds you away from your greatest whatever you're supposed to be, because it's on that other side of that fear. Once you get out of that, you find that everything is green on that side. Your success today is a story told by you about you desiring and knowing that there are those limitations that you are seeing, but you still stepping forward and saying, I will go. And by going, today we are speaking to you. You are far from us and you've inspired us. You have no idea. And maybe I'm speaking for me. I don't know about the others, because everybody is inspired differently. And I'm sure we will get more, because we will still share this video to others who maybe didn't get the opportunity to be here and they wanted to be here. And I am sure they will be inspired the way we have been inspired. So Winfred says, thank you for leading the way for the girl, child, and us all. So you can see that your story is really inspiring. You might not think that it is, but for others to watch you go through something that you're not familiar at a very young age, and to look at you today, they can see there is some light through that tunnel. And that is what you have done for somebody you may not know today. And thank you so much for getting time to join us. And thank you for accepting to share your story. It's not many people who will accept to share their story. And I think I've had through all the speakers today, many, and especially women, they are so afraid to actually say what they do. And I experienced that in March. And I can say that since March, I learned a lot in terms of how people don't see or value what they do. And yet what they do is transforming society, is transforming the world. And because of that, and because I think like structures are meant to make you feel there's not much contribution you're making, then you come to believe that. And with time, you accept it and you start acting it. But by sharing, and what you have shared and what the other speakers have shared, is that you have transformed society and you have led in ways that you never imagined. Today, you'd not be here if it were not for the courage that you had, for you stepping out of your comfort, out of your own way, for you saying, even if I fail, I'm fearful, I will still go. Even if I will fail, I will learn. Because to somebody listening to you, they will say, I can't. Wildlife, what will I be doing in the bush? Not me, not today, never in my life. But today you step forward to say that you did it. It can be done. And somebody else is being afraid of something totally very fearful thing, but they are really and seriously afraid. Thank you so much for that. I don't know what you have to say as your last words and how they can reach you. Maybe when you're not speaking, you'll be able to type that, because I can see people are asking the contacts for Dr. Susan, but I'll be able to share all that. Your last comments.
Thank you very much, Winnie, and thank you for those that have managed to join this session online. My last words is that, you know, as a woman in conservation science, what I can tell other young women out there, or any lady, is that vulnerability is not a weakness. I know many times ladies tend to feel very vulnerable and insecure. Never take vulnerability as a weakness. It's actually a strength, and never feel ashamed of that. Just remain focused. You reach for your dreams.
Thank you. That is
email and contact details we've been using to communicate. I feel inspired by you, that you're inspired by my little story, which I feel is not extraordinary. I'm humbled with your comments and your support. And to you, Winnie, thank you for creating the platform to increase visibility of the people from the bush.
This is so interesting. This is so interesting, because I was looking for women in the various industries where they were not there, and I was like, wildlife. I didn't even know the women were existing, but when I got, I'm like, yeah, we need to hear that story. We haven't maybe been told about that story, but we need to hear that story. And I am so glad that we found you, because then it brought to light what we don't know. And for me, maybe that women are still excelling, and there is a lot of opportunities. They say, and I think one of the speakers said, opportunities are everywhere. They're just everywhere. They're just in plain sight, like they're just in front of us. Like right now, this moment, I am speaking, and maybe the opportunity for somebody is right here. I might not know, but you look at it, and maybe as you look at it, you might find that the opportunity is right in front of you. So thank you so, so much. And thank you for accepting to come speak, share your story, and for sharing your story. And I think through you, people are going to learn a lot, and people might come to Zimbabwe because of today. Networking is relationship building, and you never know when you'll want to talk, visit professor in Zimbabwe. I'll definitely find a way. I love the parks. I love, there's something I would love to do in the parks. I really love the parks. I've gone to the parks so many times, and I know I have not like really interacted with somebody like you to really appreciate that you mean women are here making decisions in the wildlife. It is so, so interesting. And thank you so much.